This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. So, I watched a documentary called Buck Breaking, and I just wanted to make some points. I don't know, I just felt like making a video, so that's what I'm doing. I took some notes, so I'm pretty much just going to be looking at my notes and sharing some facts. So, how does this relate to us? Let's start with the words. Buck breaking. So a buck can be a horse or it can be a deer, and during times of going back in our history when we were prisoners of war on plantations, they viewed us, they wanted to not even view us as animals, they wanted us to be viewed lower than animals, but they associated us with this word, the buck, in order to control our minds. And with all the other information that I've gathered and shared on this channel, it's because they know that we are gods and goddesses. So what can we do? We can do the exact opposite, from y'all being up here and us knowing it, to making sure we delete your memories once you come on the realm, and everything that we do and in every way that you exist, we are controlling your mind to believe that you are not even at the same status that we hold our animals at. Our being the oppressors. So they would, this term also specifically was referred to the black men, the carbonated men, the action of breaking the buck. So they would castrate in, older Europe, going back, the black male, and would refer to them as the eunuchs. And this was a way to control the population, as well as to control increase the level of fear. So any new black man that would find themselves in that space would not be likely to give out any of this critical information, because if they those that were in these spaces were around the kings during that time, so they would see a lot of stuff that would go on behind closed doors, and this was a way of making sure that this black man, that this carbonated being, would not give any of this information out to their people. They did not want an uprising. They also did not want any of the black men to dominate them or to take any of their women. So that's another reason as to why the castration happened. Now, going further in time, or I should say actually back, during the times again when there were those of us who were prisoners of war on these plantation fields, the black male, the father, would be taken out into the field and sexually exploited in front of their wife, their children, and sometimes it was the whole plantation. I do want to acknowledge that the black women, our goddesses, were also sexually exploited in horrific ways during these times, and both of us up to today. But in context of this film, it focused solely on the buck breaking of the black man. So that is why I will be focusing on the carbonated gods. But I did just want to acknowledge that as well. So they did this in order to emasculate the black male, and there were humiliation processes. I'm going to refer to them as also rituals, which involved the flogging of these men, as well as raping them, again in front of the entire plantation, sometimes depending on how resistant this male was to whatever demands and mind-controlling attempts that the oppressors wanted them to have, but they kept fighting against. They could also be those people that were trying to break the others out of slavery, not only physically by getting them off of the plantation, but mentally. Even without the remembering of us being goddesses and gods, simply breaking the mental enslavement, that we are more than anything that these oppressors say. That right there is a red flag to the oppressors. So they would follow up by doing those horrific actions to a handful of us. And there were designated farms, buck-breaking farms, where, we would be brought, the animals in the stables, the horses, sheep, other animals would be brought out. And then we would be placed in there to further dehumanize us and remind us in that moment, physically, that we ain't you-know-what. And we are products of our environment, all of us, no matter where we are, no matter what timeline, we're products of our environment. So just think about what that did to the psyche, where these animals are being treated better than any of us. Let's go to the next page. They brought up a very key, strong point about how if they confuse you sexually, then they can confuse you in any other way. They can control your mind. It's mind control. And I have seen, countless videos and topics about how a handful of this is done through the music. But this film really just opened up a whole nother door, I'll say, in my mind, and then looking back in my life, which is why I highly recommend it. And I do believe it has a 2.2 rating on the film category out of 5 stars, because it holds valuable information. So something that they reiterated is that for the oppressors, everything that they do, they will do sexually in order to remind the person being oppressed that they are a slave. So everything that they do, everything that they throw at you, is being done sexually in order to further control your mind. And it was brought up, I think I just mentioned this, but I'm going to say it again, to destroy the carbonated family. We didn't ever need other beings to feed off of, linking into the spiritual energy of things. There are other beings here, as I've mentioned, that do. And when they fell in frequency, I'm not saying this was everyone, but this was a part of some of the action of how they would feed, was by getting us to be in fear and throwing us off sexually, and keeping that energy alive and strong to exist. And as a result, if this carbonated god is out here looking for another god or a human being, a different species, they're not going to find their goddess. So there's not going to be this unity and coming together. There's not going to be this balance. They're not going to find their soulmate. So it's doing a lot of damage when looking at it in that way and through that perspective. And they brought a perverted way of looking at nature. These beings were surviving off of their instinct, but we were not. So when they came, they brought all of that with them. And then when we fell in frequency, kept that alive to further keep us off balance. I'll say, just looking at how sex and relationships were portrayed when I was younger up to now, and it just being, let's say if you get it on with someone, it just being a quickie, you're literally sharing energy, spiritual energy. So by doing that, it gets us to be, it influences us, and if we choose to use up more of our energy, so we can be more energetically drained. And there is a greater likelihood a stronger likelihood that we will not find our soulmate when we do that and we're operating on that lower vibration of just, it just being a body, than this other being that has a soul just being a body. Yeah. So I want to connect this a little bit with my life, because, talking about how it separates the black family, I was taken from my parents, and the story is that I was put up for adoption, but I know, let's just put it this way, the story that they've told me is not the full story, and yeah, I'm gonna remember it soon, but for the purpose of this video, I did not grow up with that strong male figure, that God figure. I did not grow up with a goddess in the home. So this is something that just I have not had. But with my parents, seeing their interactions and stuff, linking this back to spirituality and homosexuality and sex spells. From a young age, my parents would tell this story, specifically my mother, about how when she was in elementary school, there was this family whose last name was Butts, and she would talk about how the children and the family, like one was named Harry Butt, the other was named Rosie Butt, the other was named Sarah Butt, and it was, a story that was often told at the dinner table when I was in elementary, and then during that time we would watch TV after dinner, so sometimes it'd be told after dinner. Did that do anything to me then in regards to me, like being sexual? No, but I'm sharing this to share that from that young age, those seeds were planted and watered to then grow for me, to keep my eyes focused on men. And once I came into that age, to have those feelings, let's say wanting to just get it on more with another man, and I look back on my life of just certain experiences, with stories like that with my family, probing my mind, and then without me seeing it, now knowing that spells were being put on me. Because in high school, I then thought I was gay, and share that with people. I said that, and my eyes would be focused, I'm just gonna say it, on the male derriere. I had crushes on my teachers, few teachers, and other people. I'm sharing this all now with the whole buck breaking because I've shared before, I stopped watching pornography at the start of this year in January, and or I made the promise to myself I wouldn't watch anymore December 31st. So yeah, no more since January. It's been great. I've definitely felt more energized in my body, but what has come from that is me seeing and experiencing all of these sex spells that I've been being put under. Started sometime during the fall of 2023, seeing, my father, Jacob Rothschild, Kevin Doyle, he was Peace Corps friends, and then wondering why I'm seeing my PE teacher back in Kenya, to seeing my vice principal teacher, John Kane, to seeing the principal that I had at the time when I was in Nairobi, Kenya, Robert Blanchard, putting sex spells on me. From then to now, just seeing more and more and more and more people. And so now I'm connecting the dots of, the motivation, one of the motivations as to why is to keep me, black man, carbonated being, Atlantean, separated from my soulmate. This is one other way of how I have constantly heard since being here of destroying the black family when it comes to, the LGBT movement and stuff. And again, I didn't fully get it. I would listen to the conversations, but I wasn't ready for that self-reflection in that deep of a way. And I definitely give credit to the Kundalini energy, because yeah, I was moving different when I first came here. yeah, this video is already long. I think I'm gonna end it here and just make a part 2. If you've made it this far, I want to say thank you for watching, and you know, this has definitely been an act to further destroy the blackmail, to keep our minds controlled. And this is just a reminder, the oppressors know exactly who and what we are. We are all, if you've got carbon in your avatar, a goddess or a god. So this is one way to seriously control all of the gods who, let's say, in their past lives, for whatever the reason, these sex spells work on this person's soul. So they know when you come into the realm how to attack your astral body that will have an effect on your physical body as well as your mind. And getting you to, bottom line, what they want is to shift your energy so that you don't come together and unite. Because when we do, there's nothing that we can't do. You have all the answers already within you, but we are stronger together. And that is what is happening, is we are coming together more and more and more and more each day. So I'm gonna just, end this video right here because it's already long. I want to say thank you for watching, and if you have listened and made it this far, thank you. We'll be doing a part 2, sending peace, courage, divine, cosmic love to all Atlantean beings wherever who they are.